Man, it's the same questions every time. Seems like whenever I run into an old school Harley guy, they always seem to ask the same questions all the time. It's always, now, how do you like it? How many miles are on it? How does it do off-road? Do you take it off-road? How long have you had it? It's always the same answers every time. It's like, yeah, I love the thing. I mean, it's so much fun. You know, it's hard not to have fun on the bike. And then they go into bitch mode. Yeah, I don't know if I like it. It's, you know, it's water cooled and it's not really a Harley. You know, it's mainly metric and blah blah. Like, it's not real Harley. Like, I don't get it. They did something different. Yeah, it's not your typical Harley. I get that. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. That's what makes the bike the Pan America. It's different. It's so different in so many ways. It's what people wanted the motor company to do for a long time. They wanted them to update and not have old school technology and have it faster and make different kinds of power. Like, they did that with the Pan America. It doesn't sound like your typical Harley. It doesn't look like your typical Harley. And it's different in the ways that people want it. And yet there's still people that still find a way to bitch about it. It's really just about getting on the bike and riding it. Like, you have to understand it. Once you test ride one of these bikes, you will really understand, okay, it's different. And it's not different in a bad way. I mean, yeah, looks are subjective. Some people hate the looks of it. Other people love the look of it. Everything's subjective, so that really doesn't count for anything. You know, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But the fact that it's different, I think, is what makes it special. Same thing with the new Sportsters and the Nightsters and things like that. They have the Rev Max motor in them, and they do handle different. They do ride different. They're quick. That Sportster, even though I think it's a 975 instead of the 1250, that thing hauls. And it's almost like the Sportster lives up to its name again. And there are a bunch of people who don't like the Rev Max motor. It was the same thing with the V-Rod. People didn't like the V-Rod when it came out. Some people didn't. You know, and again, it wasn't for everybody. The people that really took to it love that bike. You know, I like the V-Rod. I think the V-Rods are cool. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the big fat tire that came on some of them, but that's just me. And the cool thing is, you can pick those V-Rods up for pretty cheap now. So, if you want a V-Rod, they're pretty affordable now. They're different. They're not like every other bagger. And don't get me wrong, I like the baggers. I think they're cool too. They're for a certain person. And I like them. They're just not what I want right now. But I really think it comes down to people riding them. I've heard that there's some dealerships this year, they're not going to carry the new 2025 models. They haven't ordered them, they're not going to, they're not interested in them. And maybe that has something to do with the fact that the 2025s aren't going to be made in the US. And I know that's not a big deal to people overseas in other countries. I don't know, they might not care as much as people over here do. But over here, it is kind of a big deal. It's a Harley that's not made in the US is, well, it's different, and I think it turns a lot of people off to that. Now, I hear that that's only a temporary thing in the U.S. They're doing something with the factories or whatnot. I don't know, really. I haven't really looked into it. Do I think it really matters all that much? No, I really don't. They're made with the same parts. They're made the same way, so what would make something that's made overseas different than something that's made in the U.S.? They're both the same build standards. I don't think it would matter that much, but it does matter to people here. You want a Harley that's made in the U.S. If you live in the U.S., you want a Harley that's made in the U.S. It's just a thing here. You know, in other parts of the world, the Rev Max motors and the bikes were already being made overseas. That's where they were coming from, you know, and they don't really, it wasn't a big deal. And there are a bunch of different bikes that are made overseas and are made over there, and they're all, for the most part, they're good quality bikes. I don't think the quality is going to go down at all, but the fact that it's not made in the U.S. does count for something. So who knows, maybe that has a part to do with why some dealers aren't even going to carry it. Well, talking about that and how the Pan America fits in with other Harleys, like when I take this out and I park it and next to a bunch of bikes, next to a bunch of Harleys, it does acquire some attention. Some not all good, but it does acquire some attention. You know, when I'm stopped at, say, if it's like at a gas station and I'm getting something to eat or I'm getting gas or something like that, people will come up and talk to you. You know, it's different. You don't see a whole lot of these out on the road, really. And so people are interested. Some people haven't seen them before. And they want to ask the questions. And they're like all the questions that I said earlier. They're always the same question. You just get used to having that conversation with these guys. And I don't mind it. I'm not really a people person, but when people come and have something in common that they want to come up and talk to you about, like, those are easier conversations to have. But you can see the curiosity in some of the old school Harley riders where they come over and they're kind of perplexed at the fact that they like how it looks, but don't like how it looks, but that mentality they have, they're not like allowed to like it almost. They do have that hesitation of, I don't know about it. And it could be the fact that it's just not their style of bike, it's not this kind of riding they want to do, and that's fair, that's all good. I mean, ADVs aren't for everybody, you know, that's not what they're interested in, and that's all right. But the overwhelming majority of the people that I run into that check out the bike, that are curious about the bike, they're interested in it, but they don't want to admit that they're interested in it. You know, that one friend told them that they're ugly, so they're not allowed to like the bike. You know, it's one of those. So if you have a Pan America and you picked up a Pan America, you know that conversation. You know that reaction that you get from people. It's still different. I mean, they've been out for about 5 years now. Something like that. 3 years. When they come out. They came out in 21, so like 3-4 years. People still haven't seen them. They don't see many of them in the wild, so they're still curious about them. One of the things that I'm starting to see when it comes to that mentality, these guys that are doing, you know, that want performance out of their bike, that are into like the performance baggers and the performance Softails and really getting their bikes to really haul ass. I'm seeing more and more of them get on these bikes because they're curious about it. You know, they know that the numbers are there, stock, and they're real curious. And the guys that adopted them, like, they love them. I ran into a dude yesterday. He's on his second Pan America, and he had a 2021 before he picked up his 24. He picked his brand new one up a couple weeks ago. And he was telling me about the issues that he had with his 21 and how he kind of felt cheated out of the fact that Harley was using their customers basically as R&D to find the problems and so they can find fixes for them. And it kind of left that bad taste in his mouth, and I do agree that that's a horrible way to do things, to throw a product out to your customers and have them test it and have them find the problems instead of doing it beforehand and fixing them before you release it. And it seems like they have a good handle on the problems now. They're finding those fixes, they're finding out those problems. There is development coming on with the customer testing, I should say. Going back to this guy, he had a 2021 special and he had some issues with it. It didn't seem like his experience with his dealer was very good. He had no idea about another extended warranty that was on it and things like that. He seemed like he had to fight for his warranty work quite a bit, and that's not the first time I've heard of that happening. With the dealerships releasing this bike and having us, the buyers, be the R&D for them, which is what it seems like they did, why would you not just back the bike up? Be super supportive in getting the bikes back on the road, finding out the problems, finding the fixes, and doing these, and making sure they're covered under warranty, making sure that the dealerships are taking care of the people that are testing your bike, basically. You know, am I for sure know if that's what actually happened, if they intended to do that? No, I don't know that. It seems like that's what happened, but if you're going to do something like that, which I don't think you should, why would you not just support the people that are buying these bikes? Make sure they're taken care of, make sure that, you know, the warranties get done, that, you know, that there's parts available. That was a huge thing that I found with my first year of owning it. Parts were not readily available. Granted, that was in kind of a shitty time. It was 2021, so like the remnants of COVID were still there. I'm sure that played a part in inventory quite a bit. But I think that's something that they could have prepared for a little better than they did. Now, I didn't have as many issues as this guy said he did. And it sounded like it was all the typical problems, electrical issues, things like that. But the bike's being down for so long. And this guy put a lot of miles on his 21. Well, I was kind of surprised. You don't run into that. I think he told me he had 36,000 miles on his 21 when he traded it in, which is a lot of miles. That's pretty damn good. He loved the bike enough, even though he went through all these problems with his first one, he still bought another one. And I think that is kind of a shared opinion on people that really get on these bikes and love these bikes is we just hope that they just get more and more reliable. We hope that they become more and more solid of a bike. And mine's been fairly solid this whole time. So I can't really speak to that. Like, I've had my small issues with it, but they've always been minor. So if you guys own a Pan America, do you guys get comments? What kind of comments do you get on your bikes when you're out there riding around? Leave a comment down below and let me know. If you could, please subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Thanks, guys. See ya. I expected it to be a bit more flooded than it actually is. So can't get the bike dirty, but... Oh, what is that? That looks like a puddle. I spoke too soon. Gravel on the road. Oh, that river's high. Oh, that old boat is under... So is that tractor. That's so high. Look at it. It's in the water again. And found out that he got... Hello.